Things that are going on in the world. Okay, we're in Daf Beis with Beis. 3 lines from the. I'm sorry. 3 lines from the bottom. Yeah, Yehuda says this, quoting the Mishnah. We listed the Malachim who didn't have a Chiluk L'Mabah, and the Tanakama said that Menashe, the king Menashe, didn't have a Chiluk L'Mabah, and Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Menashe yesh Chiluk L'Mabah. Menashe did have a Chiluk L'Mabah. Shneimar the pasuk says Veispal Menashe El Hashem. It says the pasuk says. He returned him to Yerushalayim to his kingdom. And the Chacham said back to him, no, Machusay returned to his kingdom, but not Leil Mabas. That's the Machlekes Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan. Amar B'Yechon, Shnei Mekrei Chadarshu. Rabbi Yehuda, who says that Yesh Lechiluk L'Mabah, and the Chacham who say that Ein Lechiluk L'Mabah, they both learn from the same pasuk. Shneimar the pasuk says, "Unesatim lezaval chalmam l'chais haaretz," and I will put him for a trembling. This pasuk in Yirmiyah for all the nations of the world. B'glal Menashe ben Yechizkiyahu, because of Menashe ben Yechizkiyahu. Why? What's the trembling? Because of Menashe did tshuva v'inu lo yavad. Everyone else who did not do tshuva will be the trembling because Menashe did tshuva and they didn't. It's a big taina on them, and that's Rabbi Yehuda. Amar Savar and the Rabbanan hold b'klal Menashe lo yavad tshuva because Menashe did not do tshuva and caused everyone to go after him and do bad things. That's why everyone's going to end up being trembling. Okay. I'm Rabbi Yechanan. Kol ha'imar Menashe in lechiluk l'mabah marpi dein shval tshuva. Rabbi Yechanan wants to say, this guy's going like Rabbi Yehuda over here in the Mishnah. He says anyone who says Menashe does not have a chiluk l'mabah is weakening the hands of Bali Tshuva. Why? The Tani Tana, in other words, making it harder for people to do tshuva. The Tani Tana came to Rabbi Yechanan. The Tana said in front of Rabbi Yechanan, Menashe asa tshuva shleishim v'shalosh shanim. Menashe did tshuva for 33 years. In other words, for 33 years he had done tshuva. Not he did tshuva for 33 years. 33 years of his life was in a state of tshuva. The pasuk says, Menashe was 12 when he became king, and he was a king in Yerushalayim for 55 years. And he did an Asherah, in other words, he did Avodah Zarah, like Achav, the king of Israel, did. And Kama Malach Achav, it's mashma, like he did, like Achav did. Kama Malach Achav, how long was Achav a king for? 22 years. Menashe Kama Malach, Chamishim Chamesh. Menashe was the king for 55. Dal Minayu Esrim and subtract 22 from 55, because for 22 years, Menashe was Avodah Zarah like Achav. But that means the rest of the Pashalut Lasanut Las, you have 33 years left, and he wasn't like Achav. That must be what's when he did tshuva. Okay. So I'm Rabbi Yechanan said in the name of Rabbi Shimon Yochai, my diksiv vayishma elav. So the pasuk over here, the way the Gemara is written down, is not like the pasuk. The pasuk says vayishma elav. Pasuk says, "Vayispalel elav, vayasolav yishmet chinas v'yeshver Yerushalayim l'chusav yid." Is that the pasuk? Has the power of Yerushalayim, but just not Not sure where the Vayishma elav is going on actually, but the pasuk does say vayasolav. He davened him, and he and Hashem listened to him. So the drush is ve'chaser lai. The lashon of vaye'aser is a lashon of ma'ara, and we're gonna say that means the same thing as a chatara is a digging. A ma'ara is a cave. Chatara is a digging, right? So we're darshaning from the lashon of vaye'aser that it's like a lashon of digging or hole of a hole. And the Gemara says, I'll read the way the Gemara says it, but there's some Gersayis on the side that want to say it a little different, especially since the pasuk doesn't say it. Hashem made like a tunnel in the heaven, Menashe and Tshuva. Because Midas Hadin wouldn't allow him to do Tshuva, and Hashem made a special machteres with Midas Harachamim Menashe to Tshuva. There's a Pliyadik Rashi over here. Look in Rashi. The third thin line on the right side. Hashem made a tunnel, Barakia, Upashat Yadein, Hashem stuck his hand out for Kiblai, and he was Makabal Menashe with Tshuva, Lo Yidias Midas Adin, without the knowledge, without Midas Adin not knowing. As if the Midas Adin is something separate. Midas Adin is also part of the Rebbeinu Shalom. But somehow the Rebbeinu Shalom said that I'll be the way the world is created to run, you Menashe shouldn't be able to be tshuva. But I would make a special exception for you that you can make do tshuva. Rabbi Yechon said another thing in the name of Rabbi Shimon Yochai. Maidik said, what's part in the pasuk? Bereshis mamlachas Yoyakim and Yeshayahu. It says in the beginning of the kingdom of Yoyakim and Yeshayahu. Different pasuk. Uchsiva pasuk also says Bereshis mamlachas Tzidkiah. In the beginning of the ruling of Tzidkiah. It's a very funny thing that it says this lashon in the sprach of Bereshis. Usually you don't say in the beginning of somebody's melucha. There were no kings until now. This is like, oh, new thing, we have a king now. Hashem wanted, in both these situations, by the king Yoyakim and by the king Tzidkiyahu, Hashem wanted to return the world to Bereshis, to Tohu Vavayu. That's why it says the word Bereshis. Why? Because of Yoyakim, who was a Rasha, he wanted to do it, but he didn't because Nistakab Dur of Niskara Daita. He looked at the Dur of Yoyakim, and the Dur of Yoyakim were Tzadikim. So he looked at the Dur and said, okay, Hashem says, I'm not going to go and make the world Tohu Vavayu. Hashem wanted to make the whole world to Tohu Vavayu, to return it to Ma'aseh Bereshis, because of the Dar of Tzidkiah, because even though Tzidkiah was a tzaddik, but his Dar were a Sham, the stack of Tzidkiah, he looked at Tzidkiah, who was a tzaddik, and a skara daitai. And Hashem calmed down and then said, okay, I'm not going to destroy the world. In fact, the Gemara, you tell me Tzidkiah himself was a tzaddik, but Tzidkiah now makes a v'yasar Rabbeinu Hashem. He did bad in the eyes of Hashem, so he's saying he did bad in the eyes of Hashem, and he wasn't a tzaddik. The Gemara says, no. He was a tzaddik, but he wasn't meicha enough. The people of his dar. That's why it says v'yasara. But he himself didn't do anything bad.
He didn't do enough.
And therefore he himself was a tzaddik, and that's why when Hashem looked at Tzidkiah, it was niskara daitai. Rabbi Yechon said, there's a third member. Rabbi Yechon said the name of Shimon Yochai. Ma'adik said, Ish chacham nishpat es ish avil v'ragas v'sachak ve'inachas. This literally means like this: the wise man judges the bad man, and anger and happiness, and it doesn't go. What does that mean? Okay, so let's read the Gemara says, and we'll go back and explain the pasuk. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hashem said, Ki asti al Achaz. I was angry on Achaz. Achaz was Russia. And I put him in the hands of the kings of Damascus. Damascus is Syria. Zivach v'kiter lelehem, and he went and he brought karbanis to their gods, their avodah zaras. Shneimar, like the pasuk says, vayizbach lelehei Damascus. That Achaz went and brought karbanis for the gods of Damascus, hamakim bay, that were hitting him. Yeah. And he said, the gods of the kings of Aram are helping them, so I'll go and bring karbanis to them, and they'll help me. The Heim Hayu, and the pasuk tells us they were lachshiloi, they were tim lachshiloi to ensnare him, l'chol Yisrael, and the whole Yisrael. So, what's the pasuk say? Hashem says, I was angry at Achaz and I put him in the hands of the kings of Damascus. And what did he do? Did he go and say, I better do tshuva? No, he said, let me go and bring karbanos to the avodah zaros of Syria. Now, sachakti amatzia, I was happy, I did good with amatzia. V'nasati malchi Edom biyadi, and I put the kings of Edom, of Esav's lineage in his hands. And what did he do? He brought their gods, their avodah zaros, and he bowed to them. After Amatzia came from hitting that daimim, he brought the gods of the people of Seir, and he put them up for himself as a god, and he would bow and bring karbanas to them. So it didn't work. So now let's go back to the pasuk. Let's read the pasuk again. If you go back like 10 lines. My diksiv ish chacham. Rabbeinu Shalom is considered. It's called the ish chacham. He's not an ish, but it says Hashem ish mochama, Hashem shemai, right? So the ish chacham, the Rabbeinu Shalom nishpat is ish avel. He judges the bad people. The bad people we're talking over here about Achaz and what's the second one? Amatzia. And he says, Hashem says, V'ragaz, and I got angry. So he says, I got angry at Achaz and I put him in the hands of the Syrians. And V'sachak, and I was, I went easygoing to Amatzia, and I gave him a chance, and he went anyway, and turned his back on me and served the Avodah Zaros of the Adaimim. And nobody is going. It's not working for them people to go back to do good. So Hashem is saying it's not working. Whatever I do is not working with these Rishon. The Gemara says weiter, the last words in the medium wide line. Amra Papa, Hainu Damrinshi. That's what people say. Ba'achile lemar v'lo yada. You make a person cry and he doesn't chap what's going on. Chaychil lemar v'lo yada, and you make a person laugh and he doesn't know what's going on. And woe to this person that we're talking about, he doesn't know between good and bad. In other words, whatever Hashem did, it was oblivious. They were oblivious to. They didn't chap that it was coming from their Rebbeinu Shalom. That's what he's saying. They didn't know between good and bad. They didn't know what was coming from Hashem and what was the punishment. Okay, the Gemara goes weiter. Vayivayu kol sari melech Bavel. All the officers of the kings of Bavel. Yehuda. Okay, second wide line. All the officers, the princes of the king of Bavel came and they sat in the Shar HaTavach. What's the Shar HaTavach? The Marsha says that there's nowhere else in Tanakh that we talk about the Shar HaTavach. So we don't know where in Yerushalayim is this. So that's where we're darshaning it. Amar Rabbi Yechim Shimon Yechai. Rabbi Yechim said the name of Shimon Yechai. Welcome Shemechatchen Boy Halachis, a place where Hatavach is lashon of chatoich, a place of cutting. You cut the halachas. That's where you define the halachas, which is in the Beis Hamikdash where the Sanhedrin would sit. This is what people say, because you had the Sarim Melech Bavel over here. There's low down people, and they were going and sitting where the Sanhedrin used to sit. So it says, this is like the expression. This is what people say. In the place where the master of the house hangs his chashuv kelim, tamon, that same place, kol varaya kol seitala, the low down shepherd hangs his basket. In other words, it's like the you know how in the olden days they would have the tradesman's entrance in the back, right? So the tradesman, instead of going in the back, goes in the front and puts his dirty boots right in the front over there. That's what's going on over here. That they were going on into okay. Zaktimar weiter. Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Rav Yomi bar Abba. My diksiv of Shad in the pasuk. I'll stay ish atzel avarti. This is a pasuk, two pasukim in Mishlei. I'll stay ish atzel avarti. I went to the field of. I passed through the field of a person who's lazy. Val kerem adam chasar leiv, and on the vineyard of a person who's missing heart. V'nei ala kulikim shainim. It all rose up in thorns. Kasupan of charulim. The whole face of the field was covered with thorns. The gadar avan of nerasa, and the fence, the stone fence, was destroyed. What's this talking about? Sak the Gemara. When it says I went through the path of the field of a lazy person, Achaz. This is talking about Achaz. Achaz Amelech. Valkerem Adam Chasar Leiv, and let me explain. He was called an Atzel. He was lazy because the Gemara is going to say on Amud Beis that he closed the Torah. He didn't let people learn. There's a different Gemara that Medrash, I think, that says he closed the Batei. Chasam is he locked the Batei Medrash. Didn't let anyone go in. He didn't want people to learn. He wasn't a fan, right? And he also is called lazy because he was mevatel the avodah. He didn't let the kohanim do the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. Al karam adam chasar leiv. I went through the vineyard of a person missing heart. Zeh Menashe. This is talking about Menashe. Menashe is considered chasar leiv. He went and he cut out in the Sefer Torah where it said Hashem's name. He had that cut out, or he cut it out himself, and he also destroyed the mizbeach. And it all went with thorns. Zeh amain. This is amain. Amain. I wonder if the difference between Kimshenim and yeah, it makes sense. The Gemara is going to say that during Ammon's reign, the Mizbeach was so empty that because he didn't let any activity there, that spider webs grew over it. Right? So, So when you leave a field totally empty, thorns go up because nobody's watching it. And normally you just have to weed it. You can't. Nobody's weeding it. Things are going to go up. Zeh Kasupan of Charulim, and the face of the field was covered with also thorns. Zeh Yayakim. This is Yayakim. Yayakim, the Gemara is going to say on the base that he wanted to cover his face. He wanted to say, I don't want, all we need from the Rebbeinu Shalom is his light, and we don't even need that. And he had his whole mouth, he would not need the Rebbeinu Shalom's light. So he was like covering his face from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Now these were talking about Rasham until here, but the stone fence was destroyed. That's Tzidkiyahu. This is Tzidkiyahu. Why do we call it Gedra Avanim Nerasa? Shenechru Beis Hamikdash b'Yamav. Beis Hamikdash was destroyed in his days, and because Beis Hamikdash was destroyed in his days, we refer to that as the fence, the stone fence was destroyed. Yes. Rav Chisda said in the name of Yehuda of Haraba. You might remember this from the Chavetz Chaim. Arba Kitis Im Mekabel Pnei Shechina. There's 4 groups that are not Mekabel, the face of the Rebbeinu Shalom, the face of the divine presence. The Rebbeinu Shalom's resting, manifestation of his presence on this world. Kat Leitzim, the group of people are Leitzim, they're scoffers, mockers. Kat Shakranim, lawyers. Kat Chanefim, flatterers. Kat Mesapi Lashon Hara, and the group of people who speak Lashon Hara. And then Mara is going to bring a pasuk for each of these 4 groups. Kat Leitzim, Tiksiv, Meshach Yadai Es Leitzim. Remove your hand. Hashem says that He'll remove His hand. Hashem takes His hands away from the Leitzim, from the scoffers, from the mockers, not from them. Kat Shakranim, the group of liars. Tiksiv Dever Shkarim Leikon Leneganeni. Somebody who is somebody who speaks lies is not going to be upright in front of me, in front of my eyes, Hashem says. Kat Chanefim, the group of flatterers, because in front of Hashem, flattery cannot come. Kat Mesapi Lashon Hara, the group of Mesapi Lashon Hara, the Ksiv pasuk says, Ki lo kel chafetz rasha, Hashem does not want wickedness. Ato lo yigur chara. With you, with Hashem, bad cannot dwell. And the Rashi says that the next pasuk, or very soon after that, the pasuk says, I'm sorry, it's actually the next words. Ta'abe doivrei chazav. They should be the people who speak chazav should be destroyed. And then it says ki'im befiu nechayim, because their mouths are not talking properly. Kever pasuach groinam, their throat is a open grave. L'shonim yachalikon, their tongue is like stipply. It's like but not physically. It means like sly. Their trickery. They're trying to trick people with that. You see that this pasuk is talking about people who are not speaking properly. Tzaddik atav lo yird m'gorchara. You're a tzaddik, and there won't be in your dwelling bad. That Hashem is saying, I'm not going to the group of Mesapi Lashon Hara can't be m'gorcha in the same dwelling as the Rebbeinu Shalom. Rav Chisda Rav Yehuda bar Abba. Rav Chisda said in the name of Yehuda bar Abba, "Ma'adik siv what's pshat l'sinu elecha rav negel yikra balecha." It won't come to you bad, and plague won't come close in your field, in your tent. What does this mean? L'sinu elecha rav. The bad won't come to you. This is a bracha, right? Shlo yishlet. The gersa on the side is bracha. Eitzahara, yeah. The Eitzahara won't be sholet in you. And a plague won't come into your tent. a tent is referring to a person's wife. Yes, that a person won't find his wife a suffix nida when he comes from the road. Rashi explains, because if a person comes home and his wife is a nida, okay, fulfill. Okay, I got to wait a couple of days. Right. But if a person comes home and his wife is a suffix, it's a shaila, now he's all stuck. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't, maybe I should make her, maybe he'll be married heter for himself, and that's much worse for a person. She might be married heter, right? So Rashi says, he's going to say she's tahar, right? It's for nothing that I'm holding back. So that's called a nega. We have this vitz, ein simcha kataras hasfeikus. I'm not sure what the source of it is. Once you come to this, nothing like it. Right. So over here also, coming home and his wife is a suffix. That's called a nega. Right. You see how uncertainty is hurts a person. Davar acher, and different shot in this pasuk. It won't come to you bad. That bad dreams won't scare you. And bad thoughts. And then the pasuk continues, a plague won't come into your tent. You won't have in your tent. It means you won't have a son or a talmid that burns it. Literally means he burns his cooked food in public. Means that he does something in public that ends up being a terrible thing and it reflects badly on you. And there's a gersa on the side that sticks in the words Higayin Yeshua Naitzri, like Yashka. Right? He got nailed. What? He got nailed. Okay. Now the Gemara says, "Ad kan berchi aviv." If you look in the context of this Mizmar and Tehillim, these were brachas that were being given to David. It makes sense to say that these came from his father. A father's worried you shouldn't find ishtchanida, safnida. A father's worried that you shouldn't have a talmud that's machdiach shil barab, you shouldn't have a yitzhahara. All these things are fatherly type of brachas. From the Gemara, it's just extrapolating from the context. Then the Gemara says, from here on in this mizbar, barachta imay. His mother gave him a bracha. The Rebbeinu should send his malach to watch you wherever you go. Hashem should carry you on his palms. You should trample over, step on lions and serpents. And until there, ad kan brachas imay. Until there, his mother, David HaMelech's mother, gave him brachas. Mikan ve'elech, and from there on, in the Mizmar, brachas shemayim. There's gersa on the side, brachas shechina. The Rebbeinu Shalom gave him a bracha because the pasuk continues, Ki v'chashak v'afaltehu, because in me, David HaMelech, wanted, and I saved him. That's not talking about his father. That's talking about his mother. The Rebbeinu Shalom says to Hashem, you had a cheshek to me, to David HaMelech, and I saved you. I raised him, because he knew my name. He calls me, and I'll answer him. I'm with him in his tzaras. I will free him, and I will honor him. The length of days I will satisfy him, and I will show him in my salvation. Okay, that's the brachas that David HaMelech had from the Rebbeinu Shalom. I'm Rabbi Shimon Lakish. My diksiv. What's the pshat in the following pasuk? V'yimana mirasham oiram, and it will be held back from Rishayim their light. Uzroya rama tishaber, and the raised arm you will break. And in the pasuk, it's written, if you write it on cloth like a Sefer Torah, it's written that the ayin in Rishayim is above. It's like hangs above the line.
I mean, it's higher.
It's higher. Yeah, it's not. It doesn't look like it's with the rest of the word. So it's what was that?
Sefer to the line.
Yeah, but the Sefer pulls it up, and that means you could read it as if the ayin wasn't there. Rashim instead of Rishayim. Right? So Mvema Ayin Shal Rishayim Kluya. Why is the Ayin of Rishayim hanging? Even Shenasa Adam Rush, because we're darshaning the pasuk as Rush twice. Rushim instead of Rishayim, Rushim, two rushes. Even Shenasa Adam Rush Mata, when a person becomes impoverished downstairs, not impoverished in physical, financially or even spiritually. Impoverished means people don't like him. Not a Rush Mala. It's a siman that in the Shemayim, the Rebbeinu Shalom's not happy with him either. And that's what the two Rushim are teaching us. This is like the Mishnah Navas that says, Amar Rebbe, I think it's Rebbe. What Ezu Derech Yishar Sheyibelei Adam? What's the middle? What's the right path? It's good that the Rebbeinu Shalom wants you to do it, and people want you to do it. The person has to get along with people around them, and if a person's not getting along with people around them, it's a simon that might be something wrong with his relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom and his spirituality. If the whole point is to tell us this drasha about two Rushim, why put the ayin there at all? Just leave it out. Yeah.
He needs someone to hate him, not someone who lets you inverted. What's the word? Introverted.
No. Sainim, Moshe says. People are hating him. So why do you have the ayin at all? Well, leave the ayin out completely. Both David, who was a tzaddik, and Nechem ben Chachlai, who was a tzaddik, both had a lot of haters. Right? But they were tzaddikim. Even though they had haters, the Rebbeinu Shalom was happy with them. But they did unpopular things. So the Pasuk is telling us, this that we're saying that if you're Rush Lamata, you're Rush Lamala, is only by someone who's not a Rasha. I'm sorry, only someone who's not a tzaddik, right, who is a Rasha.
They think people don't like.
But David HaMelech and Nechem ben Chachlai who were tzaddikim, that's not what the Pasuk is talking about. Even though people didn't like him down here, still they were good with the Rebbeinu Shalom. Menashe learned 55 different pshatim in Taras Kainim. In other words, he went through Taras Kainim every year of his kingdom. Keneged Shnei Machusei, Keneged, the parallel to the years that he was the king. Remember, Menashe was a king for 55 years, right? So we're saying Menashe went through Taras Kainim, Sefer Vayikra, 55 times, and each time he had new chedushim on it. Achav went through 85 times. Yeravam went through 103 times. All these people, they learned Teres Kainim many times. And the Rasha explains what's the Gemara's point. The Gemara's point is that don't think, oh my goodness, how can you take away the Chel Kolel Mabah? These are the kings that didn't take Chel Kolel Mabah, right? How can you take away the Chel Kolel Mabah? You know what? They didn't know any better. The Gemara is saying, no, they taka knew. They were ganz fine at Tamid Chachamim. And even though they were ganz fine at Tamid Chachamim, they were still married in their Rebbeinu Shalom, and that's why they get in the Chel Kolel Mabah.
They might not because they were bad people, they were married on Hashem.
They were bad people. They happened to be bad people, right? But I'm saying they right. Notwithstanding that we have Man Yammer, that Menashe did tshuva, but I'm saying even without that, before that certainly he was a bad person. Tanya will learn in a brayser. Meir says Avshalom in the Chel Kolel Mabah. Avshalom didn't get a Chel Kolel Mabah. Avshalom was David HaMelech's son. He rebelled against him. Shneimar, the Pasuk says, "Vayakus Avshalom." They hit Avshalom like Nisu and they killed him. So what's the double language? They hit him and they killed him. They hit him in this road, and he got killed for El Mabah. Tanya learned in the Brayser. Rav Shimon Elazar Mishra Meir, Achaz v'Achazi v'Chomalchi Yisrael shekasu behen v'Yasra b'nei Hashem v'Chayin v'Leinu Dainim. Achaz and Achazia were Malchi Beis David, and all the Malchi Yisrael shekasu behen v'Yasra b'nei Hashem, that they were Hashem because it says they did bad and died for Hashem. V'Chayin, they don't get up by El Mabah. V'Leinu Dainim, however, they're not getting judged again. Okay, let's stop here. Shkayach before Shleima.